Let's get down to brass tacks. What is up? What is up? We are here ready to rock. Thursday Night Killzone. My man Killjoy Jake is here. He made it in one piece using all the Red Bulls that were left on the planet. What's up, man? How you doing? How you doing?
I'm hyped up, baby. My heart's going a million miles an hour right now. Who needs sleep anyways?
Right?
What's up, man?
It's overrated, isn't it?
Crazy overrated.
It is so overrated, man. I tell the people in my house, I wake up as one of the earliest folks, sometimes as early as 6, and I usually don't go to bed until midnight. If I'm lucky, and I'm not a very lucky guy because I have never gone to Vegas. Okay, I'm just saying. For you guys in the chat, what is up? Glad to have you here with us in the kill zone. A blanket hello to everybody. Paul is in the house. Jerry is in the house. The general is here, ready to rock and roll. What's up, Val? Good to have you. Hope you're doing well. And thank you, Val, already on it, reminding folks, we're going to have a blast. We're going to have a party. We're going to honor our beloved friend, our brother, Steven from Craving Something Scary tomorrow night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So literally 24 hours from now. Guys, please make sure that you guys step in, hang out with us. Again, whether it's 5 minutes, 50 minutes, 2 hours, it does not matter. We just want to have a really good turnout, have some memories, have some laughs. We're going to play interactive games, and it will be a blast. It really will. We're going to have a full panel, beyond full panel. I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to work the panel, but it's going to be fun, and it's something that Steven would have enjoyed as well, and I'm sure he's going to be happy we're doing it. Okay, we got Mikey. What's up, Mikey? Good to have you here. Jason, the radio tower talk is still alive. I love it. Do you remember that, Jake? We were fixated on that damn radio tower.
We thought it was going to be this big thing, and then it was just kind of like, it was a setting in the movie, but it wasn't like, the end all be all, answer to all the questions, right?
Yeah, I know, man. And it was so prominent in kills, like they're standing in front of it, and it just felt like they wanted us to really key into the radio tower,
Did you hear about the alternate ending to Halloween Ends?
Yes.
The Shamrock.
Yeah.
What is it? Silver Shamrock facility or whatever?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Let me ask you this. Of course, we're going to get into our topic in a second, guys. Some folks, they come in a few minutes after we start. But let me just ask you this real quick, Jake. If they had gone that route with Halloween Ends, tying it into Silver Shamrock, thus tying it into Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, how would you have felt about that?
Well, I really don't like the third act of Halloween Ends. Like, that is honestly the big thing I don't like about it. Like, there's other things I can excuse. I make my jokes about Corey Cunningham, but the third act is just, in my opinion, handled very, very, very poorly. I'd like to see an alternate. I'd like to see something else. It sounds like a swing for the fences, but I'd be willing to try something else out versus what we have.
Yeah, I'll be honest. It would have definitely been a stretch of sorts. it totally would have messed up a lot of minds out there. I
Yeah.
mean, who knows, we might still be talking about it right now. But it would have been interesting to see it. I would have loved to have at least seen it as a deleted scene or something that they could kind of piece together a little bit, because I guess, the idea was you'd see this conveyor belt and you'd see, the pumpkin and the witch and the skeleton. And then you would see Michael's mask. And it's like, wait a second. Okay, that's why. I mean, it would have been absolutely crazy. It would have blown my mind, but it is what it is. The Silver Shamrock, man.
I just
All
want
right.
more Halloween 3. That's my I will not complain about a Halloween 3 sequel at some point. So
Yeah, man. Halloween 3, definitely. That would be cool to see a continuation of it. And there's 1,000 ways they could do that too, but that's a story for another day, maybe. Who knows? We still got a lot of October left. For the rest of you guys jumping in, Kyle, my man Drake is in the house. What's up, Drake? Did a killer stream last night. A good conversation I was happy to be a part of, talking about the rise and fall of horror. So definitely check out Drake's channel. Drake loves movies. All right. So tonight we are going to be talking about rewatchable horror films. And the way I'm looking at it is, these are 5 films from Jake and 5 from myself. These are movies that we watch every day that you guys don't.
I watch these movies every single day, just
Every
for the
single
record.
day.
They're not a
Every
day. Yeah, I spend 10 hours of my day watching these movies, just for the record.
I love. Hey, we got Fate in the chat too. What's up, man? Hope you're doing well, brother. Erica as well. You guys are all right. So, Jake, last week on your channel we talked about, some films that we really dig, that it's unpopular. It's a hot take of sorts, and that was a very interesting conversation. So this is kind of like a pseudo continuation of this. Let me start with you, and it doesn't matter what order, but what's a film that you found that you've rewatched 10 million times in your life, and it's just still fun, it's still fresh, you still love it?
Well, when you ask me to do a list, whenever I get asked to do lists like this, I'm always trying to think of like, what's the weirdest movies I can throw out there? Because I feel like it's too easy to say like this, that, or the other.
Yep.
This was one I was really struggling with in terms of getting some weird picks. Because I think when it comes to movies that I love that are really rewatchable, these do end up, at least for me, most of the time being some of the classics. And that's why I got to start off with which is, it's such an obvious pick, but it is just, I'll be watching this movie. If I live for 50 more years, I'll still be watching this one. Halloween 1978, dude. There it is. The music. It's the music. I mean, there's a lot of things about it, but like, I could just come back for that score alone. Oh, it does it for me, man.
Right. With that film, because a lot of people, and again, some picks obviously make a lot of sense, and I'm sure there'll be some that people might say, wow, really? When you watch Halloween, and I know because you've talked about the fact that you watch it a lot, you've seen it a lot, what is there anything in particular, like as far as your mindset when it starts? Is there a certain like vibe that you get into or what have you? Because for some people, even passionate film fans, they can't watch movies a ton of times. You know what I'm saying? I've heard some people say to me, and they might be, in their 30s or 40s or even older, and they'll say, well, I've only watched Halloween a handful of times in my entire life, but it's one of my favorites of all time. So what goes into your mind when you're watching Halloween to set you into that vibe?
Well, I think I've seen so many other fanboys nowadays make Carpenter inspired slasher films. And when I'm watching these movies, I'm thinking about Halloween. I'm like, honest to God, there's a lot of times where I'm thinking to myself, this is cool, but I'd rather be watching Halloween. And then when I'm watching that film, when I actually finally do funnel back to 78, like kind of where it all starts in a lot of ways. I think, you can argue Psycho's the first slasher. You can argue Black Christmas. There's a million different things all over the place. But to me, I feel like when we first got the prototypical slasher, with the mask, walking around, all the tropes, when they're all present in a film, it's Halloween 1978. And that's kind of why I love going back to it. It feels like every other slasher film is kind of just doing a a Halloween thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
That's my hot take on it, I guess, because I think you can argue Psycho, Black Christmas, Texas Chainsaw Massacre all has those elements. But what's the first one where there's a guy in a mask just stalking somebody? There's a final girl. It's the most, like, it honestly is the vanilla ice cream of slashers. I will say that, and maybe that sounds like a negative thing,
yeah,
but you wouldn't have any of these other flavors out there if we didn't come back to the original, you know? And
yeah, yeah.
I think that's kind of something that goes through my weird little film nerd brain when I'm watching it. I'm just like, everything, all of these other movies I love spawned from this in some sort of way. So I think that's what
Mm.
also makes it really fun. But again, the music, the characters, the very iconic shots and events of that film. I mean, it
Yeah.
just does it for me. I think some people find it kind of goofy.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But the atmosphere of that film, I think, is the biggest draw for sure. Like just the
Mm.
October spooky season vibes. It's also one of the first films that really captures that in a lot of ways. I could go
Yeah.
on and on, but I'll shut up.
All right. Very, very cool. Real quick too, in in the chat, Fate's going off it. Chicken Man. There you go. Shouting you out, man. I love it. I love it. Tia's in the chat saying, "Hey y'all, welcome back. How you doing? Good to have you here." We got Katie in the house. What is up, Katie? Hope you're doing well. And everyone else jumping in. Thank you so much. We appreciate Melissa. What's up? Good to have you here too. Um, for me, now this was an interesting list, and I kind of looked at it in the same way you did. There are definitely a couple movies that came to my mind that were, they were kind of obvious, and we'll see if I name them. But there are a couple movies on my list that I don't think people would necessarily expect me to say. This first one, I think, is an example of that, and this is a movie that I literally had a period, and I still do, but there was a period where I truly did have it on daily. I mean, seriously, I'd come home from work and I'd be, puttering around, eating something, snacking, sitting on the couch, chilling, and I would put this movie in and just go for it. You know what I mean? There were even times I'd have the movie on, even if I was doing something else, like if I was whatever, putting dishes away, I'd have this movie on, and in the background I was still in my own way seeing it, definitely hearing it. I love this movie. I mean, I do think it is a classic, but I don't think people would necessarily expect me to say it. I'm gonna go with George Romero's Dawn of the Dead.
Oh, hell yeah. That's a great
It's
choice.
Thank you. I mean, it's such a captivating film. Okay. And I know some folks, we talk about subgenres of horror. Some people gravitate towards one or the other, or they like them all. I mean, my favorite is slashers, of course. But when we talk about zombies, I just think Romero had such a gift in the way he directed his films. And I love all of his zombie films. And I kind of go back and forth on what's my top. Dawn of the Dead sometimes is my top, sometimes it's Night. I go back and forth. But anyways, Dawn is so colorful. It has this cheesiness. You've got the mall music that pops in there. It's almost like Romero is kind of making fun of, that whole culture as far as going to the mall, spending money. And that was, so important to us. And it really was back then. But the characters as well. The characters are in a situation where they're at the end of the line and they're trying to survive. They're trying to survive in a world that seems hopeless. You literally see people in the beginning of this movie basically like, oh, well, it's over. We've lost the radio stations, the TV stations, zombies are all over the place. I got nothing to live for, and you've got these four characters in this film that choose to try to press forward. And of course, it's a roller coaster of things. You got zombies attacking, you got the mall, you got little things that they have to overcome. But it's just so fun. It really is. And I think it has such high rewatchability. And yeah, I had to have that on my list. So Dawn of the Dead. If you guys in the chat have not seen George Romero's Dawn of the Dead, you got to check it out. Number one, if you haven't watched it in a long time, check it out. Again, George was able to do so much in this subgenre. He was able to tell an entertaining story, but also have some important themes that were put into the film but didn't hit you over the head. And he's always going to be one of the goats to me. So Dawn of the Dead. All right.
I think you said it perfectly with Dawn of the Dead. It is the cheesy fun of it is the draw, but I think there is a little deep message underneath there too, if you want to dig a little deeper for it. So I love this term from Jordan Peele where he talks about his movies are thoughtful popcorn flicks, and I feel like Dawn of the Dead is kind of like a prototype for that in a lot of ways. I love that film. It may be the best zombie movie.
Yeah, it's really freaking good, man. I mean, if you watch it and you enjoy it, which most people do that have seen it, just the interplay between those four characters is so impressive, because you've got Roger and Peter, they were part of the SWAT team force, and then of course you've got the other two, Flyboy and his girlfriend, who's pregnant. So that's a whole nother thing that's going on. And what's her role in this group? She said, I'm not going to play mother hen to you guys, and all these little things going on. And, when Roger and Peter get to a point where one of them, obviously, they get turned, it's kind of like, oh no, like I feel for this situation. And these characters grew to be really close, a brotherhood, so to speak. I mean, obviously people in law enforcement do that anyways, but in this scenario, being the end of the world, just moments like that are just hit you over the head while you're watching something that, has some cheese factor in it. A pie fight.
I was just going to say the pie. I was literally just going to say that. You have the pie fight, but then you have something like this that's almost like borderline tear jerking. It's like, no, this is a character, like we've become family with these characters at a certain point. And it's a movie that can elicit so many different emotions and not clash with each other, which is another very difficult line to tiptoe on. And that's another reason why it's up there in terms of when we're talking about top 10 zombie movies. It's able to accomplish so much in many other zombie movies can't.
Yeah, ain't that the truth? Oh my gosh. Real quick too, before we get to your next pick, Jake, just to catch up to the chat really quick. Jerry Wilson is, he's doing his own George Romero impersonation, kind of putting the important facts out there, gifting memberships, 2 of them as a matter of fact. And thank you so much, Jerry. We really appreciate the support. Definitely helps us here, keeping the community strong. And for those who did get the gifted memberships, welcome. We really appreciate all the support. Jason coming in with a super chat. Thank you so much, Jason. Jake, you better mention alligator. Oh my God.
Changing my notes right now. I don't want to make Jason mad.
Right. We'll see. And we got May Day herself with a channel member anniversary, 29 months, going strong, saying, hey, Night, Jake and Night Watch, bam. Not home at the moment, but we'll be here tomorrow. Make sure to join us, everyone. And it's her channel anniversary, and, she's just trying to direct folks to our important stream tomorrow for Steven's tribute. That right there says everything, and thank you so much, May. All of you guys are so selfless, and again, there's a lot of cool little lessons that we're all learning, and I appreciate that. Thank you so much, May. Much love. Okay, Jake, what do we have for your second pick?
You're not gonna believe this. It's uncanny, guys. We did not plan this. I just want to say this before I talk about this, but the sequel to Dawn of the Dead, Zombie 1979. I hand to God, that was my second pick. Like I'm not messing around. I'll show you my phone. I'll show you my notes.
It's okay.
That's bizarre. Like that's actually so weird. This is a movie it's technically the sequel to Dawn of the Dead, whatever. It's Lucio Fulci's zombie movie, basically.
Yeah.
And it's a masterpiece is what I love every second of this dumb over the top film. It is just mindless zombies on an island. It's a tropical setting and it's terrifying. I mean, it is the scariest slow zombie movie I have ever seen in my life, bar none. And I think, again, just like Halloween, it's because of the music in a lot of ways. Like this whole movie is paced in such a really unique way. We're going back and forth between like this kind of like happy, slow synth music,
Yes.
and then we kind of get into these like jungle drums once we get into the island, and then it's like it's do 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 do, and it's kind of like whoa, okay, there's something dark, there's a dark, scary presence here or something, and then we get into the crazy music and zombies attacking people, flesh ripping, giallo red blood, and it's just. I don't know, man. Another movie that, just like Halloween, I am here for the atmosphere. That's another thing that makes this one so rewatchable. Is it a great film? Yeah, it's good. I mean, it's not a mind blowing story or anything like that. It's not going to reinvent the zombie genre, but I think my draw to it again is that atmosphere that it's able to create with the shots, the music, the juxtaposition of being in this gorgeous wonderland, but these awful, terrible things are happening on screen here.
Yeah.
And it's so apocalyptic. That's another thing I'll throw out there too. It feels like the end of the world. You're watching the whole world crumble before you.
That's a good point, man. Especially that final shot. It's like, oh shit. It just feels like there's truly no turning back. There's no hope. Nobody's gonna be able to save anybody. And the only way, in my opinion, you can feel that way is because of what happens beforehand. Like you said, the atmosphere, the kills, the tension, and it's just like that's the thing about zombie films too, man. I've said this so many times. It's one of those subgenres that, at least for me, if it's done right, I'm always entertained and also kind of creeped out a little bit because it's a numbers game. It's always a numbers game. And no matter how good you are or how smart you are, dude, your chances of survival are so damn slim. Like, seriously. And even for films where a protagonist, quote unquote, escapes, like in Romero's Dawn of the Dead, I'm just sitting there like, because even Peter says, how much gas do we have when they get into the helicopter to escape? And she's like, oh, maybe a quarter a tank. And then he's just like, oh, well, all right, let's go. And it's like, where are you gonna go? It's crazy.
I think what that kind of says is that when you get into a situation like that, it's just how far can we get? Like at this point, we're gonna and we could die any day, any hour now. Let's see how far we can go. How far we can make it, and that there's a desperation about that I think in both films they do that really well.
They do.
Another thing I'll add real quick about Zombie that I love when movies do this is they set something up right from the beginning that leads us into the end. I think another great example of this is Saw, where the opening shot of this film, you don't realize it in the moment, but it shows that there is no hope of this situation. And I think Zombie also does that in its opening scene, even though you kind of forget about it as the movie goes on. It happens, and then you're like, okay, whatever, we're in this new story now. And then we come back to it later on. It's like, oh my God. I love movies that is such a great plot device because you're not thinking about that the whole time. It's not like the movie's reminding it to you the whole time. We come back to that at the end and it's like, wow, there's no place to go. What do we do now? We're completely backed into a corner. It's so hopeless despite having a little bit of a triumphant ending. I just, oh God, I love this movie for that because it is so fun, but it is also so dark and tragic at the same time. Great juxtaposition there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well said. And for you guys in the chat, let us know. Are you a fan of the movie Zombie by Lucio Fulci? As a matter of fact, everyone in the chat, let us know. Have you seen movies by Lucio Fulci? On this channel, I've tried to put the shine on Fulci and other great Italian horror masters, foreign horror. Guys, if you have not checked these things out, you are missing some really cool and entertaining horror. So in the chat, let us know. Do you even know who Lucio Fulci is? let us know. If you don't know, please listen to what we're saying here. And we got Oliver, who's coming in with some memberships that he's gifting. Oliver, man, thank you. Thank you so much. Seriously, we really appreciate it. Awesome stuff. Very, very generous. Yep, you guys beat me to the punch. Val was saying that too. You guys rock, man. Seriously. Very, very cool. Denisha is in the house. Hey, Denisha, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. And we also, hey, Jack. Jack is in the house. What's up, Jack? Starting my journey of collection of every single Michael Myers mask. Ooh, holy crap, man! It's gotta be at least like 15 or 16, depending on if you're counting like the clown mask and stuff like that. But if you're talking about every single mask, you could be getting close to 20. But let me know how many there are, man, because now I'm curious. That's like a nice little trivia fun fact. Going for the largest collection in the world. Ooh, Megan is the best zombie.
What? Wait, hold up. All that I was like, hell yeah, dude. Wait, what's this thing at the end here? Did you fall on your keyboard real quick? What?
Oh, he's serious, man. He's a big fan of Megan. He really, really is. Jack, Jack, thank you so much for the super chat. We're gonna do a clip for him, and actually, Denisha came in too. Hey, Knight and Jake, thank you so much, Denisha, for your super chat as well. We really appreciate you guys helping to support the community. It keeps the lights on. So we're gonna do a quick clip for both of you guys and everyone else, and also for you guys gifting memberships. You guys rock. Jake, sometimes when you get really flustered and you want to express yourself, I'm going to show you a guy that might have it down pat. And here he is.
You're sitting there like a fucking baboon.
Watch up my phone.
Bullshit.
There he is. Oh my God. All right. All right. What's up, Troy? Good to see you. All right, man. All right, so let me throw in my second pick. And by the way, this was a challenging thing to do. I actually came up with a dozen. Okay, and then I started trying to prioritize them. Okay, so this next film, this is another film that I've found myself watching so much over the years. Again, entertaining, fun, and it's like it just doesn't get old. And I think you're going to understand why. And this is actually, relatively a new film. And I was happy to see that. But my second pick is Ready or Not.
Ooh, hell yeah.
I have watched that movie so many times, man. First of all, the story I think is very entertaining. It's a really cool story that unravels. It right from the beginning, you're kind of off balance. Like, okay, what's going on? You're meeting this family. They're hilarious. You got great performances. Andy McDowell, all them great actors. And as things kind of start to twist and turn, and you're like, okay, well, this is basically like a killer game, and then it's not over. There's still some more twists to happen. And then, and before those things happen, in between these character moments, funny moments, you got relatives that are getting high and trying to kill others. And it's like, wait a minute, why would you do that? I think it's supremely entertaining. And when I first saw it, I was just so impressed. Obviously, the Radio Silence guys hit a home run with this. And Samara Weaving, I mean, this was one of the earlier films that I really kind of got acquainted with her. And I just thought, I mean, she did everything, there were moments of horror. There was moments of action. There were moments of comedy, and it's hard to balance those things, especially in a horror movie. But I think this movie and obviously Samar do a hell of a job. So that's my second pick.
That's a great choice, man. I think, honest to God, in terms of the last 10 years of horror comedies, this is easily one of the best, if not like number one. Yeah. I cannot stand... I'm very picky when it comes to horror comedies because I feel like so many times they forget the horror. Like it's kind of just an aesthetic, It's like, oh yeah, we got this and that happening here, but it's not actually scary, This is a movie that does get into some of that. There is some genuine, like, oh my God, real back body horror when her hand goes through that nail, dude. That is the thought. Oh my God. But at the same time, this movie is absolutely hilarious. Another movie where I feel like we're doing we're eliciting two totally different emotions together, and they're not clashing. And that's just a very hard thing to walk and tiptoe over.
Yeah.
But I think my other thing that I love about this movie so much is that, and I'm gonna sound like a broken record, but these are things that are just part of all of my favorite movies. This is another thoughtful popcorn movie. I feel like there's a little, you can dig deeper for a hidden message here if you want, or you can just kind of vibe out with this very fun, over the top, just absolutely high octane, crazy thriller that this one is.
Yeah. Hell yeah, man. It's got all the elements. And like I said, when I first saw it, I was just so hyped because it hit all the cylinders, entertainment, horror. You had gross moments, like you said, with the nail. I mean, that still gets me, the ending, the twist, the characters. I mean, I was just so happy. I don't know how much expectation I went into with it, but at that point, I was just wanting some horror that was awesome, that wasn't a part of a franchise per se, or a sequel, and it was just great to get that. It was refreshing. So that is definitely one that will always be in high up on my list. Fate's heading on out, talking about you will see everyone tomorrow for the tribute stream. Be there or be triangle. They only you, Tyler. Oh my God. Good night, man. Thank you for stopping by. Seriously. Okay, so what do we have for your third pick?
So I'm also picking a newer movie with this one.
Ooh.
Which one do I want to talk about next? Because I got three good ones on here that I'm like, ooh. I'm gonna get this one out of the way because I think a lot of people are sick of me talking about this franchise, especially lately. But again, broken record, VHS 94. I love this movie. I'm embarrassed to talk about how many times I've seen it. I probably just, if I'm feeling blue, if I'm just not having a good day or something, I put this movie on. I watch Ratma spit a bunch of black goo into somebody's face, and I'm healed. I feel better. I don't know. It just does something for me. I love this movie so much. I think it is one of my favorite horror anthologies out there. I've seen, I've just seen it so many times. 4 very great stories all packed together by an insane wraparound. It's great. It's up there for me. I love it quite a bit.
And I think I told you this before, because I've got to catch up, on the franchise, and I was intentionally waiting until Halloween came out so that I could kind of like just knock them out one by one. Of course, it starts with 94. So I haven't seen, although I've heard things, and obviously you being one of my biggest inspirations, I'm like, Jake loves this film so freaking much. Like, let's go. Like, I think one thing that's really cool about watching other content creators, and I'm sure it's true for obviously viewers, is when you have someone that goes so hard for a movie and it's infectious. It's like, yeah, okay. And then of course you get your chance to watch it and you either agree or you don't, or maybe you're in between. But if you agree, it's almost like, we just had like a secret handshake, that's what it feels like. So yeah, man, I had a feeling that you were going to have that on your list. But I gotta give you much props, man, because you have been singing the praises of the franchise. And I agree, being someone that's seen, the first couple of entries, it is fantastic. And it's truly, when you talk about anthologies, I mean, I think it's got to be the top of the last however many years, a bunch of years. And they just keep going. So awesome stuff, man.
We live in this, age where there's just a lot of stifled creativity. There's a lot of fit it into a box so that it's a better package for this or that, whatever. VHS is the sandbox to do whatever your weird idea is. And I think that's why I continue to praise it. And it is this thing that is going for the fences with every single entry. I have not been disappointed, because I think in every single entry we've gotten since 2021, and honestly the entire franchise, there's at least one segment of every single film where someone does something outrageous that's just like, this is so interesting. I don't know if there's ever going to be a feature film made out of this idea, but I'm glad this exists here in this weird little franchise where it can, I mean, there's so many studios that wouldn't give a shit about some of these crazy ideas, but to me, VHS has the most originality out of any series out there. And that's why I will continue to praise it. That's why I will continue to beg for more movies every single year, because it just always always delivers on the things that I'm looking for from it. So I
Yeah.
love VHS. It is a wonderful sandbox for horror directors to play in, and I hope they make 100 more of them.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. I mean, the fun thing about those films, because, for me growing up, and obviously, you've been a fan of other anthologies too, but I love things like Creep Show. I used to watch reruns of The Twilight Zone and The Outer Limits, Tales from the Dark Side, Tales from the Crypt, and all these things. And what was always so fun about these types of films or TV shows is you go in and you don't know what to expect. You're just there to see what they're coming up with, what's the story going to be. And there's so many times that it's like, oh man, that was great. I didn't expect that, or whatever. I love that feeling. It's kind of like that whole idea of like going on a roller coaster and getting that adrenaline rush. And like you said, VHS has really carried the torch for anthology films, for the last several years as far as consistency. And yeah, I agree. I hope they keep making them. It's awesome stuff. It really is.
Oh yeah.
All right. Real quick, too, in the chat, we got Troy coming in with a super chat. All right. When I got the VHS, I watched Dream Warriors every day for like 6 months and once every weekend for about 5 years. I've seen it a good 400 to 500 times.
Wow.
Wow. I got to admit, man, when I first saw Dream Warriors, we killed the hell out of it too as kids. We watched that thing a lot. I can't lie. It's an entertaining film. It really, really is. I mean, who knows? It might be on one of our lists, but it truly is a good choice. Seriously. Thank you so much, Troy. We appreciate the super chat and also a peek into what the childhood was like. All right. Okay. So next up, this is a film that I I don't think many people are going to expect this one either, which is why I'm happy to put it out there. But it's so true. I watched this film so many times growing up. It was one of those, and I know that is a part of it because nostalgia always plays a part, memories and so forth. I first saw this with my mom, my dad, and my little brother. So that's my setup. And it was a movie that played a lot on TV. We used to rent it very frequently at the Blockbuster. And even growing up, it was a film that I would just put in and just like have some fun with it. I'm going to go for my third pick. I'm going to go with 1982's Poltergeist. This movie, and we can say what we want about, PG-13 or whatever. It's such a good movie. It's such a great story. And it's interesting because the magic of the film isn't even the horror. It's the family bond. And that aspect of the film is so strong because of the actors and their chemistry. Craig T. Nelson, Jo Beth Williams are fantastic together. You truly believe they're married. They're kind of like, the original Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson. You know what I mean? It's like they really seemed like a married couple that's been around for a little while and had these kids. Actually been around for a while because their oldest kid, I believe she was 15 or 16. So they just felt like that type of married couple. And the kids were amazing. Obviously, the late, great Heather O'Rourke. How could you not just be totally enamored with her? I was just watching this the other night. It was on TV. And I told Corey and I said, stop! Don't change the channel. It's Poltergeist. So I just really gravitate towards it. It's a wonderful story. It's emotional. And you do have the creepy stuff. And to think that Tobe Hooper, who obviously did the amazing and immortal TCM, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and we can get into a debate on whether or not Steven Spielberg pitched in or how much he helped out with. It definitely has some Spielberg vibes. I mean, it's a home run. It's an absolute home run. So that's one of my left field choices that I think no one probably expect me to put on the list. And again, it's a joy to watch. It truly is. Watching my little brother when we were kids get creeped out with the clown scene and also the tree
The
scene
tree,
when the
yeah.
tree was swallowing up Robbie. Man, my brother probably shit his pants, and I was laughing my ass off. I still joke with him about it decades later. So that's my third pick.
It is a scary movie despite that rating, you know, and I think
Yeah.
that's something that Poltergeist doesn't get enough credit for. There's children in peril, you know what I mean? I
Yes.
think that's a situation that's just scarier than any other kinds of characters that could be in that situation.
Yeah.
That's something that this whole movie really puts you through in a lot of different ways. The tree scene and you know everything with the little girl on the TV, you know what I mean? It's all of that is just it's phenomenal at playing to exactly what its audience is terrified of, and I think this movie does such a good job of that without having to get too visceral, you know. And
Right.
you're so right in the sense that this movie laid out the groundwork for something like The Conjuring to exist later on.
Yes.
I don't think you would have a movie series like that without Amityville Horror or this movie that
Mm-hmm.
might have been ghost directed by Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, it's true.
That might have definitely been ghost directed by Steven Spielberg. Did I say that?
Yeah,
Did I
you
say that out loud?
You did. Yeah, man, it's a beautiful film. You know, when you get to the end, where the mom is going into the portal to save little Carol Ann, and she turns back and says, "Steven, don't let go." And Steven says, "Never." You know, it's like it's cheap. That's cheesy as shit, but it works because I believe in them.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, no, it 100% does. This is a
Yeah.
movie that is completely reliant on the characters and
Yeah.
and being on their side, believing them, and
Yeah.
they sell it the whole time. And it is
Yeah.
it's the subtleties. I love that scene early on where, and I don't even remember what he's saying. I'm sure you might because you've seen it so many times. But when like Craig T. Nelson's just doing the like.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like it's such
Yeah.
a dumb little joke, but it's like that is intimacy at that stage in a relationship. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's just so real. And
Yeah.
it might just come off as a silly little weird bit that they included, but it does so much to cement the fact that this is a real family that is about to deal with some major BS. I love it. I don't know. It's a
Yeah.
really brilliant film.
You're absolutely right. That scene where they're in the bedroom, just you know, the TV's on and they're just trying to relax before they go to bed. I mean, look, I'm not gonna lie, I know exactly what that is like, and it's awesome. You know, it's a really cool love that you witness, and these two characters, like you said, this definitely laid the groundwork for The Conjuring. Probably things like Stranger Things. You know, a lot of
Yeah.
things pulled from Poltergeist, and you know whether it was consciously or subconsciously. And you know, James Wan is a student of horror. I mean, he literally could be on here and he could talk me down into the ground because he just knows a lot of shit. You know that there must have been some inspiration from Poltergeist, because I think The Conjuring, its greatest gift is Vera and Patrick. You know, two great actors who have this chemistry, and their relationship, their dialogue carries the film. It's not the horror, it's not the ghosts, it's this family, this wife and this husband, and what they're it's kind of them against the world type of thing. And Poltergeist definitely laid the groundwork for that. So very, very cool. Real quick too, in the chat, we got Jack's on a roll, man. Thank you so much, Jack. Got to get to daddy duties. Megan is life. Megan is love. Watch Stephen and Night and Paranoid Tapes, the movie on Found TV. Absolutely, Jack. And thank you also for mentioning that. Definitely, it was cool to have our moment where, you know, Stephen and I were doing exactly what we always love to do, what me and Jake are doing right now, talking some movies, and you know, having that moment in your film. I'm gonna remember that, you know, so specially. I really am, seriously, man. So thank you so much for that, and also thank you for the support, brother. And we'll be rocking tomorrow night. We will be rocking tomorrow night. Okay, Jake, let's get to your number 4.
I don't know if this is a controversial take or not, but I'm somebody who grew up with Blumhouse being like, so here's the thing. You say that now, you say Blumhouse, and there's
Yes.
a stink in the air. You know, there's like a ooh,
What's that
Blumhouse.
smell?
What's that ooh, stinky diaper smell? You know, what is that? See, when I was growing up, you heard Blumhouse though, and you said, oh no. Like what's the new movie that's out? Everyone turns into a little gremlin when the word Blumhouse used to be said, and people would all crawl into a dark little corner and get all excited about the new scary movie. And that's why I will always be fond of that studio. I know they are in a very hit or miss spot right now where some things are really working for them and some things are not. A haunted pool movie, Jason Blum, what you doing, dog? But listen, when I was growing up, Insidious rocked my world. It is one of the many reasons I love horror as much as I do. The first time I saw that red-faced demon hanging out behind Patty Wills, I shit my pants pretty much. We snuck people into the theater to see this movie. Like it was the age-old story of kids going and just doing anything to go see the crazy new horror film. That was my experience with this movie, and I have come back to it just time and time again. It is me and my fiance and I's favorite movie that we watch. It was literally the first movie we watched when we moved into this apartment. It has such a special place in my heart. I love this movie to death. I've definitely seen this one 100, 200 times, and I'll probably watch it another 200-300 more times before I die.
Yeah, man. It's such a good movie. And again, not to sound like a broken record, but James Wan, wow, he's got some skill. He might make a career out of this thing, directing films. He might,
maybe,
maybe. You never know. When I first saw Insidious, it was just like a moment because it felt like it had that through line to some of the films I grew up on, like a Poltergeist. You know what I'm saying? And so it had this kind of old school aesthetic, but it was modern, and just fantastic choices. The camera work, the characters, some of the silly things, like when you think about Specs, obviously Lynn Shay. The godmother of horror herself, Lynn Shay. I immediately, when I first saw her in Insidious, I was like, I know who that is. I know that she was in Elm Street, and I immediately was awestruck by her character. She just, some actors and actresses just have that certain thing. They might have a certain project or a character, and they basically reach through the screen, they grab you by the throat, and they're like, you're gonna be my fan. And that's what it was for me with Lynn Shay. I absolutely loved her in that role. Every Insidious film or anything after that, I was always so pumped to see her because she just has this certain thing about her. The film twists the idea of the haunted house. I love that. I love the creativity. The further, come on, man. This is great stuff. And it became a staple in my house as well. Every October around spooky season, I would have horror movie marathons, and Insidious would be one of those in like the steady rotation because, again, it's a film that's effective as a horror film, but it's not throwing everything in front of the screen to grab your attention or to wow you. It has real tension. And one thing I was talking about with Drake on his live stream last night, the art of suspense. It's not always about a jump scare every 10 seconds. You have the characters and then you have the situation that they're in, and you can create some real horror. So great pick, man. I love Insidious. It's fantastic.
And it's great we're talking about it right now because they are currently filming the 6th installment in Australia, if I'm not mistaken. So that is very cool. We're going back to a Lynn Shay story. She's busy right now. She's shooting as this character once again, and I'm excited. I'm excited to see what else they do with Elise Rayner.
Yeah.
I don't love the sequels as much as I love that original, but it is a very fun franchise. I will say you got to go through it at least once.
You do. It's got its valleys and it's got its hills and valleys and stuff like that. But I think that overall it's a pretty good franchise. Do you have a favorite sequel out of what they've done?
Yeah. I 2 has grown on me because it's like even more James Wan than the first one. Like,
Yes.
dude, there's this like the opening shot of Insidious Chapter 2, or I think when we get into the story, maybe after a cold open, it's like this insane zoom from like, I mean, all the way back there, and we just shoot ourselves into this interrogation room. And I'm like, James is just like creaming over this shot. Relax, dude. I love a good James Wan shot is what I'm trying to say. But I think 3 is probably my favorite sequel. It's just it may even be scarier than the first film even if the story itself is a little more clunky. Dude, the opening scene of Scream. I talk too much about that franchise. The opening scene of Insidious 3 is terrifying. Like, I mean, like maybe the scariest thing in the whole franchise.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think three is usually my top as well. Although 2, I kind of go back and forth on maybe if 2 is my favorite, but it's a fun series. It really is. And I hope with this new film, especially with Lynn, having her involvement, her character, I hope that they can kind of, get into some other really good stuff that obviously if we're talking about the franchise, we're like, yeah, that newest one, I hope that they can do that. I truly do.
Yeah.
All right. In the chat, we got my man Oliver, who also has a channel member anniversary tonight. Oliver, you rock. We hit a year, baby. 12 months. Awesome stuff.
Very nice.
Yeah, it's just awesome, man. Just, the love and generosity. It's beyond humbling. It truly is. Oliver, thank you so much, man. Much love to you. Hope you're doing well, of course. Saying James Wan is my Wes Craven. Not sure what movie. I've seen more than 8,359 times. It's hard for me to pick a favorite. Saw. Yeah, he loves Saw. And it is a great movie. It really is. There's no doubt about that. James is just he's a master. He truly is. All right. So my next pick. Okay. Now I almost have a feeling before I get to the final pick, I might have to do an honorable mention because I know people are like, they're probably thinking, come on, man. They're kind of waiting. Okay, this is a pick. It's kind of like an alley-oop. It's easy, but it's probably not the type of film people would think that I love to watch over and over and over again because it's got some heavy stuff to it. I just watch it a lot. I really, really do. And I'm just going to put it out there. The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing. And I want to explain why. The first thing you talked about with your first pick with Zombie, you're talking about the music. And it just kind of grabs you and engulfs you. I feel the same way about The Thing. It is one of those, and this is going to sound silly. You guys in the chat, let me know if you're vibing with me on this, if you feel the same way. This is the type of movie I could and I've done this. I've listened to this movie on long drives. I've gone to see my family down in Maryland, and I've actually put it on, and I'm listening to it like full blast. You know what I mean? And I'm still enjoying it like if I was watching it. That score, it's so simple, that whole idea of a heartbeat, the heartbeat of the thing, doom, 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 doom. I love this fucking movie so much. I love this movie so much, and I think I was saying this with Drake. I love this movie so much that on my list, I almost could put on the special features documentary on it, Terror Takes Shape, which is, I believe it's 90 minutes long. And they talk about all the behind the scenes stuff of the making of the thing, the ups and downs, obviously all the work that Rob Bottin did with the practical effects and everything. Carpenter's in it, Kurt Russell, everybody. I just love this movie. And sometimes I've had it on just to kind of have it in the background, not even just watching it, but I love watching it, and it has never gotten old. And I don't even know the number I would put to how many times I've seen it in my life, but it's been hundreds. I know is easily over 500 times. I'm lowballing. I'm truly lowballing. So, anyways, that's what I got. John Carpenter's The Thing for my fourth pick.
This is my father and I's like favorite movie to watch together. I've probably
Ooh.
I'm with you in terms of I have seen it 100 times. And I again going back to something I said at the very beginning of all this, I try not to pick movies where it's like that's the obvious answer because
Yeah.
dude, I would just be sitting here talking about The Thing, Jaws.
Yep.
You know, there's so many movies I could talk about forever and onwards. I just got to see this movie in the theaters for the first time just a month ago. And my God, I mean, it really is just it's a masterpiece. Like I don't think there's a body horror film that tops it. It is just it's perfect for what it is. It is it isn't even just the body horror too. It's the isolation. Right. It's the being trapped in this situation and there's no way out. We got to figure something out now, you know, or we're totally screwed. And maybe we already are. Maybe we're just doomed. This is a movie that, again, just I think has that like weird anxiety and we're totally doomed kind of vibe, this apocalyptic feel, but it is still fun. Like, I mean, there are still very outrageously hilarious moments, you know, I don't want to spend the rest of my time here, you know, tied to this fucking couch. Dude, that is I mean, that's hilarious. Every time I see that scene, it cracks me up. But the special effects are amazing and gets talked about all the time. But the anxiety that is created amongst all these men just trying to survive may be its strongest asset.
Yeah. And you feel it. You truly feel it. It's so weird to say that. I mean, and obviously the greatest films, you know, they elicit emotion, you know, from the viewer. But when I watch this film, I feel cold. I feel like I'm kind of on the edge a little bit. You know, my eyes are kind of like looking to the side a little bit more. And it's just a fantastic example of a film that takes its time. It tells a very simple story. And within that story, there's just so many fantastic elements. And, you know, again, a movie that bombed at the box office. You know, coming out the same year as things like Poltergeist and E.T., which, you know, killed every movie. But since home video, it's shown its colors. You know, people have come to love it. You know, reviewers and critics back in the day that thought it was just gross and it was ridiculous or trashy, you know, turned around on it, you know, a couple years later or so. Oh, well, it is a great exercise in paranoia and John Carpenter delivers a masterpiece. Yeah, okay. Did you say that in 82? You know, but it's a great film. It really is. And I think that it's going to continue to have its fans. You know, it truly does. And, you know, in the chat, just real quick to say, hey, to Raul Julia, this is so true. It ironically has kind of a relaxing atmosphere. I kid you guys not. I've also had this on when I've gone to bed or I'm kind of in bed, like kind of just tuning down, you know what I mean? And I'll just have it on and I've literally fallen asleep to watching it. Not because it's boring, but because I'm just legit tired. But it does kind of have a relaxing atmosphere at the same time of having that tension and paranoia. It's fantastic. It really is. So
I think there's an 80s nostalgia about this that is just so comforting. You know what I mean? I think that's kind of what it is for me. Cause like, again, if you really immerse yourself into this film, I think it's terrifying and anxiety inducing, but at the same time, you know, the effects, the way that the people talk, the way that the people look, it's so 80s, you know? And it's like, this is fun. We're in a fun time for movies. I kind of feel like there's a headspace of that when you're watching it.
Totally agreed. Absolutely. Matthew's in the chat too saying, what's up, Knight and Jake? How are you doing tonight? I can't join the stream because I'm at work, but wanted to pop in and say, hey, thank you so much, man. We appreciate that. We're vibing out.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here, dude.
Absolutely. Hey, what's up, Chuck? Good to have you, man. Raul Julia saying, whatever happened to Rob Bottin? You know, as far as I know, I mean, you know, he worked on, you know, a lot of other projects as well. But as far as I know, you know, he just kind of got to the point where he said, you know, I've done what I needed to do and I'm just going to, you know, retire and, you know, be known as one of the greatest practical effects men of all time.
So I was looking him up recently, and I got to remember what it is. But he, to my knowledge, he worked on movies all the way up until like the early 2000s, and there was like there's an insane one, and I have to bring it up because it's like very funny. Mr. Deeds.
Really?
He did the black the black leg in Mr. Deeds, like if you remember that scene.
God. Yes.
So I remember just like being like, what else did Rob Bottin do? And that was like one of the last things he ever did in terms of practical effects for a movie. And that to me, that's just so funny to me. I had to bring that up.
Yeah. That is too funny, man. Like when you see some of the little things that people have worked on, it's like, what? Oh my God, that's hilarious. Troy saying used to go to sleep to Cabin Fever back in the day, but the director commentary before podcasts, it wasn't easy to find a place to just listen to someone like that, just chat about horror. Yeah, that's a good point. Some director commentaries are really, really fun to listen to and rewatch. I agree with you. Okay, all right, Jake. So we've got our last pick, correct?
Yeah, this is the final. And I saved this one for the end because I really do believe this is the horror film I have seen the most in my lifetime. It's probably one of the first like horror movies that scared me outside of childhood. Kind of when I was like becoming I was in the middle of my teen years when I saw this movie for the first time, and it scared the hell out of me, and I think it still scares me nowadays. It still gets a visceral reaction out of me, and I think that's why I keep coming back to it. I'm someone who I like to be scared. I think that's fun. I like having just like a oh my God reaction to something. If you can do that in your movie, I'm hooked. I'm invested. And there's no movie that makes me reel back in disgust and terror more than Evil Dead 2013.
Ooh.
I have seen this movie night 200, 300 times. Like there was a time period where I started this channel and just every night I would literally get off stream or something and just put this on before bed because I'm just like, this rocks. Like this it's the blueprints for exactly what I want from a horror movie. It's a simple contained story, and it is just pure chaos from start to finish with a really great emotional setup for its 5 central characters. I love it. It's perfect. I wouldn't change a single detail about it. I love this movie. I'll continue to be rewatching it for many years to come.
Man, it's so funny that you said Evil Dead. Now that's not going to be my pick, although I've seen it a lot of times too, because it is fantastic. We were just talking about it. We were talking about that last night with Drake, and I've talked about it a few times. It's just one of those films that it was just so cool. To go into the theater and see this film that is part of a long-standing franchise. I mean, we're talking about the early 80s with the original film, 81, I believe. And for it to check all the boxes, that's so hard to do. It is so hard to do. You watch that movie and it feels like an Evil Dead film, but yet it does some other things and it pushes that line further ahead, and it's so good that, and don't get me wrong, I enjoyed Evil Dead Rise. I thought that was fun, for what it was trying to do, having a new setting and all that, and which I gotta admit surprised the hell out of me. I did not think they could pull that off. I was like, wait a minute, we're gonna be in the building, come on guys, what are we doing here? But that's a whole nother story. But 2013, it was so good. I wanted a direct sequel to that so bad. I still do. I was like, oh my God, I want to see Mia. We got to do this again because it was just that damn good. Fede Alvarez, oh man, he's another one. He's amazing. Fantastic.
He's earned his spot, like with that one movie in the Legends, and then Romulus from last year. I feel like is also just a total banger for totally different reasons from that franchise. I really love what he brings to horror. It's nostalgia in a smarter way. Like, and a lot of people criticize his stuff for that. A lot of people will say that, well, he relies on that too much. It's too much nostalgia, but he finds ways to twist what you already know about a franchise and do it in a different way. way. Like Alien Romulus is hardly even about the xenomorph, which I think is so interesting. Like it's more of the face huggers almost take center stage in that movie in terms of what's the scariest thing. The androids, the face huggers, all the other shit about Alien like comes up front in that movie. The xenomorphs are kind of just there for posterity in a lot of ways. And I think the same thing can be said about Evil Dead 2013, where it's just, you know, like the pencil scene in the original going into I can't even remember her name's ankle. Dude. Oh God. Fede Alvarez made an entire movie of that. He took that one awesome scene from Evil Dead and was like, I'm going to make this the whole freaking movie. And it works so well for me, man. There's a few scenes in that movie that make me just wince every time. I mean, Terrifier levels of, oh my God, I can't believe I'm watching that. But the crowbar through Eric's fingers is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. Like I have seen, you know, we just watched Art the Clown take a box cutter to somebody's head and, you know, just yank his face skin down. But there's something about the way that scene is shot with the just going through and obliterating that dude's hand. It makes, I mean, just thinking about it, I have like bugs crawling up and down my skin.
Yeah. You know, you're right, because something like that you would think is, you know, fairly simple, like you said, compared to something that we've seen Art do, and we've seen Art do a hell of a lot. And it's no shade to Art or to Damien, because, you know, they got fantastic and creative things that they're doing. But you're right, something about how Fede films some of those moments, those visceral and gross moments, it just feels, I don't know, maybe more real, you know, than some of the other things that we might see, like in a Terrifier or what have you. And you're right, you wince through that film so much. I mean, you know, when you have to basically rip your arm off, I mean, it's so gross, man. And here we are, I believe it was Evil Dead 2, you know, the famous scene when Bruce takes the chainsaw and he's kind of on the ground, he's like, "Ah!" You know, and he's taking off, and it's like, yeah, that's bad. But Fede, he just like, you know, he's pulling those little tendons and just really getting deeper and dirtier with it. It's fantastic stuff. It's a great film, man. It really is.
Oh,
nice. All right, very cool, man. That's a great way to end it. Okay, so as much as I tried to avoid this, okay, we started this out. You started out in a really interesting way. You ended your list in a very, very cool way. I'm ending my list. Look, I got to call it like it is. And I always say on the channel, there's no lying. And I know people are going to be like, well, of course you're going to say this. This is a movie that I've watched it so many times. I put it on in the background. It's a mood setter. I watch it sometimes for certain scenes because they just mean so much to me, certain characters, certain quotes. I've rewatched this film for so many reasons. And you already named it, but I'm going to name it again. I had to say it. Halloween 78. Listen, and I know people are like, well, of course. And there were some honorable mentions for my list. You know, obviously things like Scream, Cabin in the Woods, The Conjuring, Creep Show, even Predator. I know some people don't really consider that horror. It's not straight horror, but it scared the shit out of me as a 7-year-old. But going back to 78, I mean, you said it so well. It's one of those films that I just love rewatching it. It's almost like, and this is not a negative, but it's almost like an addiction, you know, to watch it, because everything in it from A to Z works for me. You know, just me speaking as a viewer and a fan. It's intriguing to me. I love the characters. I'm drawn to Loomis. I'm drawn to the innocence of Laurie. I'm drawn to Michael, you know, why he does what he does. Like, I'll watch this movie, and there's been different points in my life, even before I was doing YouTube and definitely after, where I'm like seeing little things that I may not have noticed before. And I'm like, well, that could be the reason why, you know, it took him this long to come across the street, because inside of the house, he was doing this before he went to go and get Laurie. You know, it's like, it's just absolutely crazy. The music is fantastic. The atmosphere, like, and of course I watch it every Halloween, you know, so that's already, you know, a done deal. And it just feels, I don't know, man, it feels like like home. It's like when I put it on, I just get a smile on my face. If Coriander was here, she'd say, "Oh yeah, he does," because I'll just put this smile on, and she's like, "You're just having the time of your life right now." I'm like, "Yes, we're watching Halloween." It's just that much fun to me. It's a fun film, and it just checks all the boxes. So I had to be honest about it. I kept saying to myself, I'm not gonna say it. But when you put it on your list, I was like, okay, the floodgates are open, let's go for it.
Guys, we did not plan this. I have to be,
No.
I gotta repeat that. I mean, oh my,
Yeah.
how wild is it that I started it and you ended it with that? And then also
Yeah.
you threw out Dawn of the Dead, and I'm like, well, my second pick is zombie. I might as well say it. I'm like, that is the weirdest thing. I swear to, like, hand to God, we did not plan any of this. We did
No.
not talk about our lists. This is just a match made in heaven is what this stream is right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't agree more, though. It really is such an easy answer, but there's a reason for that,
Right.
And even though I tried to avoid saying movies like, Jaws or this and that, whatever. I
Yeah.
mean, there's so many great horror movies that are talked about all the time and totally deserve it and could have just filled this space tonight. Halloween 78 is one that deserves its flowers continuously moving forward and onwards. The slasher subgenre is something that will continue to prevail in horror. I think people are always going to want a new slasher, and I think that really does come from this movie. It's the what is this character who is just so hard to understand, Michael Myers, and you have Dr. Loomis telling you the whole time what he is, what is going on, but even though he is kind of creepy and there's scary things happening with him the whole time, you don't really get that confirmed until that last scene where he gets shot 6 times.
Yes.
6 times, Knight, as we learned in the sequel. He disappears. He vanishes. He's what happened there? There's no man could survive that. And
Right.
I totally understand why John never wanted a sequel to this.
Yes.
Like, I totally understand why that was supposed to be it. It was never supposed to go farther than that. Point was made with that final scene. Let's move on to something else. Let's do this jukebox of horror. But no, Michael is just way too interesting of a figure to only be in one whole film. So I'm so with you, man. It's a movie I'll continue to come back to and just, awe at its mystique for years to come. It's an amazing movie.
It truly is, man. And again, it just has just this mystique to it, and rightly so. It has the art of suspense. It really draws it out. It has characters that are filling up the time and your investment. And it has surprises and shocks. And it was a trendsetter. It literally, again, like you said perfectly, I won't necessarily rehash it, but it really started, that subgenre, really put it on the map. Let's put it that way. Because of course, as we know, Friday the 13th wanted to basically rip it off. And then of course, Friday did some interesting things. And then the golden age of the slashers was born. And, and that was because of what Halloween set forth. So it's great. It's great. It really is. No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. Real quick, as we wind down here, Samantha saying, "How you doing, Knight? My favorite movie that I always watch is 9 Lives." Ooh, well, Samantha, I'm doing pretty good. I hope that you've been enjoying this conversation. Thank you so much for being here. We got hey Carrie, what's up? Good to see you. Saying, "Hey, what's up? How's the beautiful horror community doing?" We're hanging in there, Carrie. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. And for everyone else that's been here, thank you guys for hanging out. We really appreciate it. It's really fun to do conversations like this. And of course, even though, and I think Jake knows where I'm going with this, even though a lot of what we talked about was a chance to talk about movies that we may not always get a chance to talk about. And, there's still sometimes where you go back to some of the classics. But I love the fact that we can talk about something like a Lucio Fulci. We can talk about something, like a Ready or Not or Poltergeist or VHS. These are films that, Jake and myself, we really love these films, and we don't always get a chance to shine the light on it as much as we want. I want so many people to see Zombie. I really do, because I think it's just one of those films, especially for younger audiences, they just don't know about. And it's like, man, you're missing a zombie fighting a shark. Okay, where else are you gonna get that? You know what I mean? So
I could talk. Don't even get me started. That's the coolest scene ever filmed. Like, what?
Isn't it?
Oh my God.
It's so true, man. It's so true. All right, guys. Well, look, we appreciate y'all being with us and hanging out. This was so much fun. And Kay said, "Is that Knight's favorite movie of all time?" Well, that might be a different discussion. I'll just tease it like that. You never know what Jake and I are going to come up with. But by the way, next week we'll be on Jake's channel, so make sure you guys get yourselves ready for next Thursday as we continue the Kill Zone and just having some interesting conversations and discussions, especially during spooky season. Don't forget to the like button if you haven't already. If you haven't subscribed to Jake's channel, make sure you guys do that right now. And also, don't forget, tomorrow night, we are going to be rocking and rolling and honoring our brother, Steven, from Craven Something Scary. And we've had the links in the chat. I've posted about it. Jake's posted about it. Fade's posted about it. A lot of you guys have posted about it. So everyone, get ready to hang out. We're going to have some fun and really get together as a family. So we will catch you guys later. Take it easy. And as always, if you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you're the Night Watch in the Kill Zone. Peace.